One mini world, one creation dream.
The screen here. And welcome guys to the class number 2. For this horror escape map, I know guys that yesterday we see a lot of maps and you were pretty happy because it's Halloween. Well, I love Halloween too. Most of the people does. It's the best time in the year in my opinion. So I'm really excited about this, and also because I wanted to create those kinds of games from long time ago, okay? In specific, we are going to start to create our game plan. We are going to set up our rules, and I'm going to give you some hints about how to create this specific kind of map. And something important that I'm going to teach you today, yes, it's fear paradox, guys. Is that the illumination system that we are going to create will help you out to create an atmosphere for your game. So let's start with this. So let's start with the game plan. We always got this mainly structure. I need you to think about the map that you are going to create, guys, okay? So first thing first, I always advise you to be creative with your map names, okay? In my case, I place it as Sphere Paradox because I know it's going to be everything that is being called with paradox is going to make reference most of the times to the future or to the sci-fi. And I decide to create my map in science fiction ambience and science fiction scenarios. So that was the first one, and fear is directly a reference to horror, so that's why I choose the name, okay? But as always, you will have different techniques to create this. If you want to learn some cool techniques to get names for your map, to get concepts for your maps, and of course, most of the times to get some ideas for your map, remember to review in this channel the class number 2 of the MiniCamp that we're about, a school simulator. On that MiniCamp, we get a full class about how to get ideas and create ideas for your maps. So that's a cool trick. Remember, it's just in this channel, and remember to check that, okay? Also, to avoid forgot about this, just remember to subscribe to the channel, and that's it. Okay, so let's continue with this. For the map name, I need you to choose a map name for your map. What I always do is create a map that refers to something that I create in the map, the concept, okay? So in my case, it's going to be Fear Paradox. In your case, it's going to be different. So depending on your case, just choose your name, okay? Of course, remember, we are going to do an horror escape map. That is going to be the genre. That's going to be the easiest part. Now we are going to do for the team. Remember, guys, the team in this one, it's going to be depending on your map. In my case, I do a sci-fi team because I want to base this in a space station, okay? So if you see all the concept, all the items, and also the decoration goes according to the space station theme, okay? As you see here, also you can find those ships around here. You will find in the decoration some sci-fi things. As an example, you can find those generators here. You can find some specific points where you can get some specific items. You will find a lab, you will find a server, you will find a storage warehouse. So all the things that you are going to see in the map are going to be related with this sci-fi or science fiction theme, okay? So remember that you have to put it in words. It's the best way, so you have a clear idea about what is going to look or what is going to be your map, okay? So in my case, the map, it's going to be science fiction and another one that is going to be around here is going to be horror. Okay, so probably you need to know the difference between terror and horror. Horror is related with supernatural things, as an example, ghosts, monsters, and things like that, okay? And terror is more related with something that is human, as an example, a killer, so their killer is terror, and a ghost is horror, okay? So mine is going to be based in horror, that's why I'm going to place that, okay? Now, the art style, guys. The art style that I choose is first something that is more related with lights. As you notice in the game, I place a lot of lights around. And that's something that you can find in Pinterest, okay? As always, I advise you to get Pinterest to get some inspiration ideas that you can use in your map, okay? So let me, in this case, okay, so as an example, you can get some ideas about the art style just by looking at Pinterest. As you see, I get a lot of ideas, the boxes, lights, and the ambient from different ideas that I get in Pinterest, okay? Something that you can use to start getting an idea about how to create your map. As you can see here, you can find a lot of things that can help you out to get the ambientation, okay? So keys that I use for my art, first is going to be something that is going to be industrial, because it's going to be more like a storage a starship. The second one is going to be, of course, science fiction. And the third one that I use for this one is going to be a dark style, okay? So that are going to be the different keywords that I use for my art style. So remember, guys, the art style is how your map is going to look. So whenever you want to do a decoration, check this specific document that we are making, so you will be able to know for sure if it's related. So as an example, if I went to place like a dog here where the players can heal, if I place it in medieval style, it's going not to look well because we are doing science fiction, so just check this document. Now, this is the most important part, guys. As always, I'm telling you this. This is going to be the part where you put what makes your map different from all the other maps, okay? So as an example, if you see right now, there is a lot of Squid Games. And actually, the Squid Games, games actually, about this series on Netflix, but most of the games are just bad, are just normal maps that use aesthetics for that. And in some point, as you have a lot of these kind of maps, you don't even know the name of the creator, you don't even remember the map very well because it was something too normal, okay? So the differential is that's something in your map that makes your map unique and different from the others. And that's what actually is going to make your map great. As an example, if you have played Power Load, and that actually it's one of my more successful maps, it has a big differential and is the first one that is going to be very fast, and the second one that you have up to 100 different skills to use. So let me show you just 1 second here on the screen. As you see, I have more than 100 props for all the different items that you can use inside the game. That's something that makes the map unique and that makes these maps have up to 800,000 downloads. And it's because it's not very easy to copy this. Of course, you can recreate a couple of skills on here, but probably it's going to be very difficult to copy all the skills. As an example, another differential for Metal Warriors is that in comparison with most of the multiplayer maps about fighting maps, the difference is going to be that you can choose different robots with the skills, and you can actually access and exit from the robots to fight in the game. So it's something that in its time no other map has in Miniverse, okay? As an example, in this map that is going to be Star Rebellion, the differential is that you can fly, and you can transform yourself. That's something that not all the fighting maps in Miniworld has, okay? So in this game, it's also about robots, but your robot will be able to have two modes, the airplane mode and robot mode, and you can fight and transform and fly around. So as you see, that's something that makes your map different from the others. So moving back to the presentation, my differential in this one is going to have the multi-monster system. Okay, that's going to be the first differential in comparison with most of the maps. The illumination system. And something that I, as a map creator, I'm one of the only one that can make this. And is that I want to have advanced scripts, okay? That's going to be my main differential on this one, okay? So guys, very important, I always telling you this, try to take the time to think about this topic. It's going to be very important, guys. For me, it's one of the most important, because with this, you will be able to actually make something different that probably is going to get a lot of downloads, okay? Let me also check very quickly the chat. Yeah, that's also very good. For Mr. Noob, if you add a story to your map that is very related with the genre, with the team and the differential, probably you are going to get players more into it. That's actually very good. Yeah, and that's some problem that really happens in Miniworld. In most of the maps, it's if you get too far away from the main map's ideas, probably your players are going to be a little bit lost. Okay, guys? So that's very important, very good on that part, Mr. Noob. I see. It's okay. Of course, you can do a different map as an example. So fun. You can mix two different teams. Here, as an example, you can mix the order cell map with a candy world. And as an example, you can make another escape map, but instead of using like dark style like the one I made, you can do a candy world in which actually the players can be gummies and they need to escape from clowns that try to eat them. So if you get scared about the scary things, just change that. But the main idea is about the concept, okay? That I advise you that. So fun. All right, I didn't get that one, Zenith, about the players defeating well, okay? So continuing with the class, explain me that a little bit more, of course, Grand Adventurer. Another important thing, guys, as always, is the target group, is who is going to play your game, okay? So I always make the example about reggaeton. Probably you have been hearing a lot of that, but let me do another example. Right now, there is a big dispute in Latin America about J Balvin and another musician because they put an example, and it's a very good example. Hot dogs are delicious, okay? A lot of people like hot dogs, but when you are going to create a restaurant, as an example, you have a lot of options to create your restaurant, but if you create a gourmet restaurant, which actually is a restaurant with very high target group, in which all the people is not going only to go for eat something, they like the experience. As an example, there are restaurants where you can find, I don't know, as an example, they serve to you in a plate, and when actually you finish, the chef tells you that the plate is actually not a plate, it's actually something that you can eat, and it's the dessert. And that's something that makes the people pay a lot more because they want a custom experience, okay? While the hot dog is more designed most of the times for common people, that is just something that you can get in a street food cart, and it's something very cheap. If you want to make a map for that kind of people, of course, if you place the experience of the restaurant in the street, people cannot consume that because probably it's going to be very expensive. And of course, you go to those kind of restaurants for the experience inside the restaurant, the decoration, all the things that go inside the restaurant. You are going to actually, even if it's a good idea, you are going to actually not going to sell them too much. And if you do the things vice versa, you place the hot dogs in that restaurant with the normal hot dog, where the people pays a lot and try to search for a cool experience that goes beyond that only eat something. Probably you are going to lose a lot of customers also because the customers search for different things. So it's like this on here. Think about who is going to consume your map. If you play in MiniWorld in Asia, the players are going to be in between 15 years to 28 years. As an example, if you are going to do the map for United States or Latin America, the players are going to be childs most of the times. So think about that. Think about the players that are going to consume your map. Probably if you are doing something too scary and in your area or the area where your map is going to be played, there are a lot of childs. Probably they are not going to play your game because they are going to be completely scared. And I know that we are going to do another system, but think about that. Think about the items. And that's something that I always advise you to do, okay? In my case, the map is going to be, because I have different targets, but in Latin America, it's going to be for players that are in between the 10 years to the 25 years. In the United States and Asia, it's going to be for players that also go for 10 years, but up to 28 years. That's going to be the edge. Now, for the player group, it's going to be a casual player because in MiniWorld we don't have pro players most of the times. And also some important keys about the players that are playing my game, and the ones that I focused is that the players are going to pay most of the times to get advantage in game, okay? And that goes directly to the second one, and it's going to be the monetization. As always, is how you are going to get money for your map if you are a developer. Okay, there are a lot of ways to get it. In my case, I place different heroes, but this is going to be a little bit tricky. In my case, I don't want to do a pay-to-win game, so in my case, all the different monsters are balanced, but the difference is that you are going to get a random at the beginning. If you want to choose a different one, you have to pay, okay? But that's it. That means that the players are not going to have an advantage. And the second one for the second team is that you are going to get some items that you can get with coins, but also you can buy, okay? That's going to be my two ways to actually get money from the map. Now, on here, on extended differentials, yeah, I like it. Of course, I like the bloody style, but there is something that happens with MiniWorld, guys. When you do a bloody map in MiniWorld, probably you are going to get less chances to get your map featured. And what happened is that for the rules, that this is a game that is made also for kids. What is going to happen is that MiniWorld have to control a little bit the bloody part, and of course for iOS store and for Android store. So probably if you do a bloody map, you are going to get less chances to get your map featured. Of course, your map can be featured, but it's a little bit harder, okay? So I highly advise you to change the bloody part, can see, or a trick that you can use that is completely valid is that you can change the color of the blood. So if the blood is not red, is as an example green, you actually can place all the blood that you have and MiniWorld is not going to make any problem. That's a big secret that I share with you. And I know by first hand because a long time ago, they were banned a lot of maps that were too bloody for the game, okay? Now, from these extended differentials, you can go ahead and extend that, the ones that you place here, a little bit more. So as an example, I can place multi-monsters here and all the things, but very important, guys, on here, as we already placed this here, I need you to be a little bit more discreet. I do a little bit more of, or description is because this will help you out to have an idea. It doesn't need to be an extended description, it can be very short, but it's something that you can use to recenter yourself every time that you lose the way. As an example, you start adding more and more features and then remember, oh, okay, but that's not my focus on this game, so I'm going to read this again and I will be able to know what is happening here, okay? So as an example, in multi-monster, players can choose monsters with different skills. Okay, so the illumination system, different colors, and another important thing in my illumination system is the highlight of objects, okay? And another important thing here, guys, and I will show you the difference here with the illumination system that we are going to learn how to do. It's apart from the different colors that you are going to notice when we start the map, it's going to be the advanced illumination or the interactive illumination. And that's going to be for my map. Now for advanced scripts, we are going to use a flashlight that not all the maps will have. We are going to use interactive pipelines. That is the one that you looked yesterday, that you can interact with the pipelines. And another cool difference about this is going to be the feeder system. Okay, and I'm going to show you in the screen that. That's going to be my main difference. The flashlight can be turned on and illuminates the area. And the interactive pipelines, just by pressing space or jump and shift or crouch, you will be able to actually go inside or out of the pipelines, okay? Now the first system will actually shake your screen and also will affect illumination. Okay, those are going to be the differences, the main differentials of our map that probably not all the players will be able to copy. Of course, if the players that can copy this will be more advanced, so probably we are going to discard 98 or 95% of the players that play MiniVerse, okay? Okay, let me read you in the comments very quickly. I see. That's also very uncomfortable when you actually get killed and you respawn quickly and you can die quickly. Let me see. Okay, I like that hunting season. It's telling fake. I forgot to read that. Yeah, that's actually very true, and that's what I don't want you to do, because it's going to be very common, guys. That most of the maps that actually you can find in MiniVerse is just something that you can find in chests, and there are creatures moving around to you, so that's a normal map. I don't want you to do that. Try to go a little bit deeper. Very good. I see that Mr. Noob has a lot of ideas, so I want to see your ideas, place it into the map, because I see that you are very creative and you know well what you have to do. So I have high expectations with your map, okay? On here, I just find out that the system changed my language to English, okay? So guys, that's going to be my differential. Of course, as I just showing you this as an example, you need to think about your differential. Remember, to be different is it's actually going to be best. I always put this example Imagine that you are in a street and all the people is dressed with working dress, with formal dress. And suddenly you are going to see a person that is looking completely in color red. Of course, you are going to check and you are going to notice the red person, and all the other people is going to be just like a landscape for you. They are going to be very similar, so you are not going to notice that. And in business, in games, or in anything in life, is best to actually be highlighted, to be different, because you are going to be noticed. But very important, you need to be noticed for the good things, not for the bad. So be very careful on that. Of course, there are specific cases. As an example, when you make a map that looks poor, but poor on purpose, like low cost in purpose, it's going to be funny for the players. But you need to be very obvious that you are doing that on purpose, and it's not that you lack of skills, okay? Now, let's move for the next thing, and it's going to be the map characteristics, okay? So remember, for all the maps that we create in MiniWorld, I highly advise you to get a max size of 64 blocks. Why? Because, you know, when you do a very big map, probably you are going to get some problems with the triggers. As an example, if you are creating a map in which actually you are going to open a door, when you open the door, you probably need to use some triggers that creates a block that is going to open the door, that gives energy to the door. If you are in multiplayer and there is no players around that area, even if you put that in scripts or in triggers, there is not going to happen anything because there is no players rendered that area. That's why I highly advise you to get 64 blocks around at max, because it's going to be very small area and the players will be able to play very comfortable in that area, okay? Of course, for this kind of map, this is very important. Limit the amount of players to 6 players, because it's not going to be funny if you have a monster that can kill you very easily and you are 6 players, but that's going to be boring, but you can play, you can hide. But as an example, if you put 20 players on the game and there is only one monster, it's going to be very boring because probably the monster won't be able to kill all the players. So I highly advise you to get at max 6 players, okay? Now let's get down to the characters. On this kind of situation, we are going to have 2 different characters. The first one is going to be the players. The second one is going to be the monsters. In my case, I have 3 different kind of players: the monsters, the captured players, and the normal players. So on here, think about your concept. As an example, let's go back to the world in which actually I advise you to make a candy world in which actually the players are going to be gummy bears and the monsters are going to be clowns. So if you notice, the idea is working around the idea of having a candy world. So I highly advise you to get all your ideas based in your team and in your art style, okay? In my case, as I was doing a sci-fi, I placed the players as astronauts or cosmonauts. The victims are going just to be the cosmonauts, or the captured players, but we note like completely here. So if you notice in the game, when you get captured, your model is going to change to the same model, but you are going to have some parts that are covered by bandage, okay? And finally, the monsters, as this is going to be a multi-monster game, I need you to think about each one. So in my case, as an example, the game plan that I made, and let me show you very quickly, is to create a different monsters. Most of the monsters were already implemented here, but some of the monsters that are going to be the premium monsters are going to be added after that. So the first one that I create is the Axeman. The Axeman is actually a monster that is based on the classic serial killer, like as an example, Jason or Halloween, any of those monsters, Jason or I forgot the name of the other, of Michael Myers, that is a slow monster that is very big and of course had a big weapon in the hands. That's the first monster, so I call him Axeman. Let me show you in game to Axeman. Okay, so this is going to be the first monster. The one I mentioned is going to look very similar to the normal monsters. It's in game, in the map, with some bugs. I make these monsters a little bit bigger, and the heads is a little bit smaller. But this kind of monster is the monster that actually is the normal monster. So the skills are putting traps. That is something very human. It's something very physical in comparison a ghost that is going to be more supernatural attacks. And it has a big weapon in the hand that is going to be this specific drill, axe drill. And it's very slow and makes sounds that are very heavy. This is the first monster I designed for my game. Remember, you have to design your own. And remember, we are going to design different monsters. So this is faced in normal horror movies about serial killers. The second one that I designed is the ghost, okay? And also check the skills. The skills are very related with the main character you are creating. In this case, the monster or the ghost is going to be something supernatural. So the first skill that you can use with the ghost is to become invisible. And the second one is to left a copy of yourself so you can make the players think that you are in that area. Also, I place some passive skills for some monsters. So for this one is actually that is a little bit faster than the other monsters, okay? So let me show you the ghost here. So you will be able to see the design for this monster. And please also notice that actually I'm using the custom skins to create the monsters, okay? So this is going to be the ghost monster. As you see, as this is a sky fiction game, actually it's a mix between a monster and a robot. And the gun that this monster is going to have is the new item, the Us one, so it's going to look more like a dead monster. Of course. Oh, okay, also you can see the model about my applier, okay? And in game, this monster can become invisible, and also this monster will actually kind of clone itself, okay? This is about characters. Now let me show you the last one. Okay? So for the last one, I create a robot, but I want to create that sensation about something that is kind of between funny and kind of between of a scary. Okay? So I base myself in the Netflix series and also into the anime and manga that is being called Alice in Borderlands. And one of the first characters that you have to defeat is an actual soldier that is being used horse mask, okay? So again, once more, this is a kind of mix of a robot and a monster. But more important about this monster are their skills. So in this case, for the robot that is going to be the character I designed for this one, this robot is going to have 3 different skills. The first one is going to have a chainsaw or a saw here, and that is going to make the players have an idea. So I use the normal model of the saw tool, but in the hands of this monster look a little bit scarier. And also it has some specific skills. So the first one is that the saw can break the blocks. The second one is that the monster also have a gun that can use to shoot the players. So in this case, I want to use it in a serial killer, but that kills you from the distance. So the first idea about this is that you keep to be watching this monster because it can attack you from more distance, but it's the most slow of the 3 monsters, so it cannot run, okay? And another important thing is that I add an extra feature. This monster can make the chainsaw make sound, so he can scare the players a little bit more. So if you play crouch, or you are crouching, or you play shift on your computer, the monster is going to make the chainsaw run, okay? And the third and 5th monster that I'm going to teach you how to do is the spider. The spider is going to have potion, it's going to create monsters, and also it's going to have a specific skill that will allow the spider to climb the walls. So it's going to be another figure that is most of the time related with animals. And the final monster is going to be a tentacle monster. This tentacle monster is going to be like something that is mixed with a lot of tentacles and things, and he actually can use the tentacles to move and to climb inside the walls and move around the map, okay? I'm going to teach you to do also those two monsters, but for now, those are going to be all the characters for this mini world map. So I'm going to place multiple characters, okay? Notice, please, for the monsters, notice that all the monsters have a concept and the skills are related with that monster. And I like that, Kenzie. If you're telling me that you have a lot of ideas, well, that's better. It's better to have ideas. Also, remember that in the second class of the minicamp related about school simulator, you are going to find a way to actually choose the best ideas. I have also a method here that I submit, so you can say, oh, okay, I have those ideas, how I can decide which one is going to be the best. So you can decide from that, okay? Now, for the win conditions, we have a lot of win conditions. The first one is that if the monster kills all the players, is going to win. The second one is that if the time is up, the monster is going to win. And the final condition is going to be for the astronauts. If they fix all generators, the exit is going to be open and they can win. So as you see, we have different conditions in here. The first one is that if the monster kills the players, it's going to win. The second one is the time is up, the monster wins. And the third one is going to be for the players directly, and is if the players can find the exits or they fix all the generators, they are going to win. And there is another one, and if the player or the monster gets killed, the players are going to win, okay? That's very important, guys. That are going to be the conditions that I'm going to teach you how to do. And here goes the story, the thing that Mr. Noob was telling me about. And the story is very important, guys. For creating your map, the story is going to be one of the main focus of your game, okay? And why this story? Because as Mr. Noob mentioned before, when you got the story, you are going to actually make the players go more deep into. So if you check UAG maps, in the map that he makes, the story is about a journalist that needs to look inside a factory to actually find a supernatural history, and that makes the players enter more too, okay? So that is something that you need to be placed on here. Of course, the story is going to be a large amount, so I'm not going to go deeper on that. Then we have the map or the different elements that we are going to learn how to do. First is the scenario. The scenario is going to be very specific for this kind of maps, and I'm going to teach you that in a little bit, okay? The second one is the monster, or the monsters in our case, because we are going to design multiple monsters, and I'm going to teach you a system to have multiple monsters. The third one are the victims, or the players. The third one is going to be the interactive objectives, or objects, as an example, the generators. And then also something that is going to be very important are going to be the items, okay? So, most of the times we are going to start with some sample items. For all the games, I advise you to get this. That is going to be the coins. Let me show you very quickly. In the game, we got the coins that we can use to purchase some cool things about inside the map, okay? Let me show you very quickly here that you are going to have a store that you can use to pull some items, okay? But apart from that, you are going to have a store. The store needs to be physical and also needs to be in your inventory. And also we are going to have the dev store if you are developer, okay? Of course, there is important things about your developer store. In more places you place the dev store, more chances to actually make your players buy your things. So in my case, we have the normal store, that is the one that you can find up here. As you see, you will have all the items here, and also you can choose the monster directly. we have another way to purchase items, and the way that you can do it is just by clicking on the monsters to actually choose a different monsters or to get some items in the map. And the third one, you can see here the two stores is just by open the store from here, okay? And also to open the store from here. Of course, I just find out that I didn't set up well that, but you will have those items for your store. Now, another extra items that we are going to have. For the monsters, we are going to have a weapon. The second item is going to be the locator / skirt item. The third one is going to be the skill 2. And also the weapon is going to have a first skill, okay? That's going to be for the monsters. And this is in my map. For the players, we are going to have actually a different system. The players are going to have as first skill or as first item, a flashlight that will allow the players to check better or look better into the darkness. Because in the map there are going to be some really dark areas where you have to use the flashlight. The second item is going to be the wrench that will help the player to fix the generators. And the third items are going to be just 3 items that the players can pick up, as an example food, as an example traps, as an example healing items that you can get inside the game, okay? That's the most important part, that you have clear what items and what is going to have the player, okay? Now, for the monsters, I already give you a detailed description about the monsters. In my case, the first one is the Axeman, that actually is more look like a different monster, but that's the name I give as a clave, okay? That's the ID number 0. That's the monster that we got by default. The second one is going to be the Phantom. The third one, and remember why we place the numbers here. Remember the status system that we place for the disaster map is something very similar that will allow us to make the system, okay? The second one, just the number 2, that actually is the third one in game, but for the settings is going to be the number 2. It's going to be the horse robot or the horse bot. The third one is going to be the spider. And the final one is going to be the tentacle monster. And if we get the time, I want to do also a flying monster. Okay, and on here place the description about your monsters. Of course, I already give you that detailed description about my monsters, but just to let you know, you have that option here. And finally, the scenario. Our scenario is going to have some keys. The first one, I need you to be at night, because the systems that I'm going to teach you. The second thing is that it needs to be dark, okay? So you don't please don't fully get all the... Let me show you here. So I have to edit this because, of course, the second skill or the passive skill of the horse is that you can see better at night. But let me change this and let me play the game again. So if you notice, my map is dark, but it's not darker in most of the areas enough to avoid the players to see anything, okay? So you see that the players have a clear idea where are the walls, where are the objects that you can find out in the way, okay? Why? Because we want the players to have the experience to have darker areas, but we don't want the players to be stuck here because they don't see anything, okay? So when I mean dark is that the decoration needs to be a little bit dark, but clear enough to see some things, okay? Let's do this. Okay, on here I have the test order system. And on here I need to grab something here. Let me show you very quickly this, okay? Because I want you to see this. Okay, the player, skateboard, auto monster. Okay, all right. So we are going to change this. We are not going to change the player team. All right. Now we are going to check how it works with these changes, guys. Because, okay, no, it's not giving me. For this, I need to do this, and I need to restart the map. So I want to show you the personal illumination that I create for this map, okay? That is something that is going to be a little bit nicer. Okay, no, it's not allowing me to see that. Maybe in multiplier. Okay, what I'm going to show you guys is that actually for the players, the human players, I create a specific system that is going to be very nice for some things, okay? Let me see. Okay, yes, it seems that I'm going to be player. And I want to join from my cell phone very quick to be able to show you that, okay? What you are going to see is that, oh, okay, on here you can see that. So as you see, the area is dark, but the players will notice the different important elements in the scenario. So as an example, this one, you can see it from any area. And of course, if you have the light, or you have your how do you call it? Your flashlight here, you can see a little bit better, okay? So check. But of course, always you will be able to notice the scenario. So now let me show you a little bit different thing here. What I'm going to do is actually play with myself, but with my cell phone. Okay. So as you see, all the different elements, important elements in game are going to be able to be seen, okay? So that's the dark part that I need you to do. The second point is that our game is going to have something very important, are the pipelines, okay? The pipelines in the game are going to be those. And what is the important thing about that? Remember that depends on your team. If you are doing, as an example, another kind of game, as an example, you are doing an horror game in a hospital, you can use the pipelines, but if you are using a medieval game or a game that happens in the forest, you can create caves inside instead of that, okay? But the important things about this is that the players are going to have enough space to move. That's the most important thing, and to jump into, okay? And also that the players in some points will be able to see who is out of that, okay? So let me show you very quick here. I'm going to do some specific changes here, so let me change again to the normal over system, and on here we are going to reduce the amount of time that the player responds to something very quick, so we will be able to play very quick on the game, okay? So I died. So I want to show you this. First, this is my pipeline, and you see that the players have enough space to move, and also they are going to have some parts where they can look just below and see who is there and who is around that, okay? These pipelines could be like mine if you are going to create a two different floors game like the one I have. You can have those pipelines that you can interact with from the first floor and the second floor. That in the first floor is just by jumping, you are going to go inside, and in the second floor they are going to be actually enterable by the two ways. If you go down or if you sneak, you are going inside. If you jump, you are going to be outside. And if you see, you can move freely around that, and you have enough space. You have spaces where you can check where is the player, even above or below that, and you can interact that. That is going to be the second point about this scenario. And the third point that I need you to check about this scenario is that the scenario needs to be very small and you need to have a lot of rooms. Why? Because in different rooms you are going to have the generators, and this will allow the players to hide, okay? So another important thing about this kind of maps is that the players need to have some areas where they can actually just evade the monster, okay? So notice that you have a lot of obstacles and a lot of areas where you can hide, okay? That's the third point. Areas where you can hide from the monster. So as you notice here, if the monster is following you, you can just try to evade the monster by placing around this area, and the monster is going to try to capture you by this side. So you just move around here, and if the monster is coming here, you can try to make the monster lose a little bit, okay? Another important thing, guys, that you need to create in your scenario, and this is one of the most important, is the main area, okay? The main area where your players start the map is the area where you are going to have also the victims. And more important, you need to place an exit from your game. In my case, this is going to be exit, and only it's going to be open when you open all the generators, okay? So the players' main room needs to be very clear, needs to be where the players spawn, and also where the victims are going to go. So how you are going to do that? After you build the first area, and I highly advise you to start creating that area where you spawn, you are going to place the spawn points for the blue team and for the green team, okay? The green team is going to be the monster, the victims, the players that have been captured, and the blue team is going to be the team for the players. And the exit needs to be very, very important, and the players need to see the exit from any point of the map, okay? That's very, very important here. Okay, I see that we get a notification. I'm going to check that later, but that's very important about your map, okay? Now, another important thing, another important hint about your map is that you have to have different ways to get away of every room, okay? So the most important thing is that you don't get rooms where the player cannot move. As an example, if I weren't having this lever here, probably the players are going to be trapped here when the monster is coming, so you always have to have a way to exit from that part of the room, okay? So in this case, in this room, you have two different ways to access. By this side, that is going to be this, or by this other side, so you can just always evade the monster. You also have this way to exit. And you are going to notice that all the rooms, all the different parts of your map need to have a connection, a way to exit from the area. As an example, if you see here, we have the obstacles, but also at the end of the area, we have a door that allows us to go to another room, okay? So that's very important, guys. Always have a way to make the players don't get stuck, okay? So notice here too, I also have a way to go by this way. I also can jump here and go inside the first floor, and I also can go to the third floor. I have an exit around here to the outdoors, and yeah, all the map is around here. Even here, when you can see that part that is completely alone, of course you can exit, and you have a special way to exit that is by this side, by the emergency lever. And that is something that is very important, guys. Another cool thing that you can place in your map, and that I highly advise you, is to get some decorations related with your map. As an example, as this is a lab, I got a lot of decorations related with a lab, okay? So each room is going to have their own decorations, and that is going to depend of what you can see in the room, okay? As an example here, in the second floor, this is the server, so the decoration is going to be related with the server. This is a lobby, so the decoration is going to be very, very normal. And as an example, this is a warehouse where you can find a lot of boxes. So decorate the area are about what you want to do. And very important, guys, right after this video, this MiniCamp, this class ends, tomorrow or on Monday, I will submit a time lapse with all the different videos that will show you how I actually pull this map, so you will have an idea that you can use to base your map. Okay, so this is going to be very important for testing your scenario. Okay, guys. Now that I provide you those tips, also notice that I'm using different blocks to the floor and also for the walls. And this is very important, guys, because you need to give the player a clear idea where is the floor and where it's the walls. Okay, as a lot of parts of the map are going to be very dark, I highly advise you to get that. Okay, so those are going to be the tips that I'm going to give you to pull your map, an order system map. Once more, another important thing that I forgot to tell you about the pipelines is that the pipelines, from the pipeline you can access to every room in the game, except for the stairs, because the stairs actually can also provide you from first to the second floor. But in all the rooms inside the map, you will have a way to access through the pipeline. Okay, and remember, this pipeline only will be able to be used by the monsters, so it's a quick way to show the players or to allow the monster player to have some shortcuts to hunt the players. As you see, in every room on the map, you can access or you can exit from the pipeline. Also here in the first floor, if you notice here, you can just use this to jump and get into the pipeline. And of course, on here too, you can access and exit from the pipeline. In all the rooms will have this feature. Even the room that is far away, that is this one, that is the vivarium, has first a way to get into the pipeline by this side and also by this one. Okay, so that's very important, guys. When you create a pipeline system, you need to be sure that the players are going to access. And another important thing about your pipeline is think about the health of your pipeline. More of the players will be able to enter somewhere if there are 2 blocks. But for the monster design, I highly advise you to get some specific features. As an example, if your monster is bigger than the players will notice that it's the monster. So if you are going to do a bigger monster, remember that the monsters are going to have a different size, and the size is going to affect where the monsters can access. So the pipeline needs to be at least 4 blocks high, and so with that you are going to be sure that the monster fits. And also the exits and the access for any room in the game needs to have at least 3 blocks of height or more, depending on your monsters. Even my doors, guys, let me show you this. As you notice, my door has a blank or a blank block over here, because the monsters are a little bit bigger than the normal players. So if they weren't having this extra block, they weren't able to pass. So be sure that the monsters will be able to access to all your map. And those are going to be the tips that I'm going to give you to create this map, okay? To create this actually a scenario. All right, so first thing that we are going to do is that we are going to go here. We are going to go to the rule settings, okay, guys? So let's start by basic. The first thing that you are going to do is to set up the time at nighttime, okay? This will help you out to reduce the amount of light that you need to use. And once more, depending of the time that you are placing your map, you are going to see more interested decoration. As an example, I choose this specific time because the moon is going to be in these sides. And as you are going to have a lot of windows here, you will be able to see the light here, okay? But remember, guys, always you can choose and play with the time, of course, depending on your map. As an example, if I place a 17, once more, the sky is going to change. Of course, this is going to affect your illumination, so I highly not advise you to get that. Of course, you can get, as an example, an underworld world in which in some point it's going to have like something that can show you the light. But of course, as this is an overworld map, I highly advise you to get a nighttime. As an example, this one could be great too. I prefer to have it a little bit darker, so that's why I'm using 21, but of course, depending on the time, you are going to get different effects, as you see right now, okay? That's up to you, but remember to choose fixed timer, so it's not going to change the time of your map. Okay, now, now on here you have also the sunny time. Remember, guys, probably the sunny one, the sunny and rain one, it's going to give you some cool effects, and the rainy, it's going to give you also some cool effects depending on your maps, okay? Of course, if you are inside a map, probably the raining is not going to be cool. And another important thing is that right now in MiniWorld, we get another feature that is the thunder one. So the thunder, it's going to be darker, and apart from the rain, you are going to see that there are coming some thunder, so it's probably going to give you a better way to actually make your map cool or look cooler. So remember, you can choose wherever time you want to choose on there, okay guys? And see also that the illumination changes. When you have the darker side, it's going to look with this dark sky. That is very, very cool, okay? Of course, as I'm doing a special game, I'm going to use sunny, so the players will be able to see these specific stars in the space, okay? Monster spawn needs to be completely off. Gravity needs to be whatever you want it. I always keep it on 7 to make the players a little bit more agile. And I keep the falling damage switch because I want the players to be damaged if they fall from high altitude. Now also here you can see here that the car destroyer is completely off, okay? That's very important, guys, because we don't want the players to actually use that feature because we are not going to use it. Now for the map rules, remember to put an introduction. This time I wanted to show you how you can do it from 0, so I didn't place an introduction. To activate the introduction, just hit an on and hit here where it says add a new introduction. This will give you this new UI that actually you can use to play the game, okay? Important things here. With this, you will be able to take a screenshot. So you need to be in the area where you are going to take the screenshot. Okay, as an example, I can be here. Let me break some blocks here. Okay. As an example, I'm going to use this one. So you activate this, but just hitting the switcher here and turning into on, and then hit this one to just take the screenshot. And with that, you are going to have the first one for your map. Now, just hit on introduction 2, and on here you can place some text that will allow you to show the rules to the players. As an example, here you can place try to exit. It's just going to be a quick introduction, and if you activate the language tool, you have the traduction here. Remember, in the last class we learned how to do the translation here, and you can check that last class. It's just in the class number 6 of the last English minicamp about PvP. Try to use small words in the description, that's very important. Escape to win, as an example. And on here you can say humans. And on here you can say monsters. Of course you can give colors, but in the monsters you can place kill all humans. And that's it. When, of course you can add more screens. You have up to 4 different screens. And I highly advise you to take photos about what is important in your game, okay? So as an example, I'm going to enter again to the map, and I'm going to take a screenshot about the generators. Okay, if I can access to my map, of course. All right, and in here, I'm going to take this screenshot. And if you want to add more screens, just hit on here and you will be able to have more tools here, okay? An introduction, as an example in here. Humans fix the generator to actually the 7 generators, because I have 7. It's very important to specify the amount. To exit from the map. And of course, you are going to take different screenshots, all the different features of your map or the different rules, okay? Now, let's back to the settings here. All right, so now, for the start, you are going to hit on host opens. Very important, you are going to take out the join min wait in process, because that can be a little bit frustrating, because players cannot join or supposed not to join after lose. The counting time is going to be 5 seconds. The background music, I highly advise you, that this is another game, not to put a background music, because that is going to ruin your gameplay, because probably if you get, I don't know, some music that is very happy, it's not going to match. And the minimum amount of players set up to 2 players, okay? Now, for game target, I highly advise you to get around in between 10 or 15 minutes. And very important, guys, don't do more than that time. Remember the limit time it needs to be on, because it's going to be very large and it's going to be very boring, okay? Actually, I get 15 minutes to be able to teach you, but I highly advise you to get 10 minutes. It's the best timing, okay? Winning conditions need to be team victory, okay? That means that all the team is going to win or lose. Now, all the scoring settings needs to be in 0 and the goal needs to be off. Turn base also needs to be off. And reset game needs to be off. Bullet area settings needs to be off. Quick play mode, this will allow you to actually, if you turn, the options that we have here, in quick play mode, if you got it in reset the map, what is going to happen is that your map is going to recover, it's going to recreate all the blocks and all the things are going to be restarted when you finish the map. If you place this one, the map is going to be saved. So if, as an example, you just break a block, that information is going to be saved. So next time you open the map, that block is not going to be there. And saves player data needs to be off. Now for team settings, we are going to create 3 different teams. Team 1 is going to be the monster. And this is very important, guys. I'm going to be very close to the camera because it's very important. Monsters are going to be the team red. Blue team is going to be the players. And the 3 team that is going to be the green team is going to be the victims. So just hit here on the check marks and activate the 3 teams. And let's edit the monsters. So change the name for the team name to monsters. And set up the members to only 1 player, okay? For the permission, activate the custom setup or the custom configuration. And placement needs to be off, destruction needs to be off. Usage needs to be on, summon allowed, it's off. Double jump is on, movable is on. Assault double, that means that the player can attack, yes, needs to be on. Can be injured needs to be off, so players cannot hit or the player is not going to receive damage as it's going to be the monster. Can be defeated needs to be on because the player can die. Can pick up items needs to be on, and can discard items needs to be off. This is very important because otherwise the player will be able to drop his items and it's going to give the skills to the human players. For initial attribute, you can place wherever you want. I place 2000 of life with a 5 of defense, and the movement speed is going to be 12. Okay, I always give more speed to the players because I want the game to look a little bit faster, okay? Now for the initial items, activate the custom setup. Actually, don't activate that because this monster doesn't have to have any special skills, so just keep it like it is. Completely off, and initial appearance it's going to be off because we are going to change the appearance with skills. Yeah, probably, and just by reading this, you are telling me that Vietnamese is very hard, and I know that just by looking how you write, guys, I see that you have a lot of different symbols that we don't have in Spanish or English or in French or in Portuguese, so it's very hard for me, okay? Alright, yes, for Luna that is asking me if I already took Alien game map, yes, I already did it, and it was very hard, very cool. I checked it in the Spanish class yesterday, and today I also in the morning, as soon as we start the class, I check Alien maps, and also, just to let you know, Nanda Plays already finished the map also. The one I haven't tested is Jakarta is the one from Indonesia, so that's the one that left. Now let's move to the blue team. The blue team, you are going to rename it as players, okay? And now very important here, limit the amount of players to 6 players. Okay, no more players to the player team. The permission needs to be the next one. You are going to activate custom setup. Placement permission needs to be on. Usage permission on. Destruction needs to be off. Summon needs to be on. And all the other permissions needs to be on, okay? Why destruction? Because we don't want the players to destroy the map. And summon, of course, because we don't want to get some amounts inside it, okay? For the initial attribute, you are going to activate it and you are going to change the moving speed to 12. Now, for the initial items, you are going to activate these. And when we create a map, you are going to place in here the first, the flashlight, second, the range that we are going to create, third, the money inside the game, seventh or fourth, actually, the store, the normal item stored, and finally the item stored, okay? A trick here, try to put those at the end so players are not going to mess with the gameplay, because it's very uncomfortable to have those items at first, and you are going to keep opening those, so it's going to be very uncomfortable, okay? Now, we are going to just hit confirm, and remember, custom setup, and that in the back, we don't need to actually put anything. And very important, for the custom setup, you are going to change the model for the player for the whatever model you choose. For my players, this is going to be the model. For the victims, it's going to be this one. It's the same model, but as you see, the players look like it has been hurt. So that's it, okay? Now, for the team, number 3, you are going to change the name to victims. You are going to select up to 6 players. The permissions needs to be completely off. The only permission that that player is going to have is to move. The initial attribute, it's going to be off. The initial items are going to be off, and the initial appearance is going to be off because we are going to change the appearance in the scripts, okay? Now we have those rules. We left a couple of rules more. We have the player behavior here. So for the rules that you are going to use for normal players that are not in team, because our system first add the players into no team and then just add into the right team, is destruction permission needs to be off, and summon allowed and skill allowed needs to be off. All the others needs to be completely on, okay? And very important here, at the end, it's going to be in assault mode in team battle. Now for the respawn settings, we are going to choose the revival interval in 30 seconds or 60 seconds. And that's the amount of time that the monster is going to take to reborn, or also the players when they die. I just downgrade to 1 because I was just testing the map, but remember it's going to be in 30. The respawn way is going to be automatically, so players are going to reborn by itself. Revival protection is going to be just 1 second. Respawn at random point in the team, and very important, the death penalty needs to be to keep items, okay? Why? Because with this, we are going to be sure that if a player is a victim, when the player is rescued by another players, it's going to have the same items. Lives needs to be completely off. Display settings needs to be different teams visible here. So the players will be able to see others in display, but the name display is only going to be available for the same team. Show the damage, it's going to be to show all the damage. So as an example, if a player gets damaged by a trap or something, the monster is going to see where they are. The health bar needs to be off because we don't want the players to see the health bar. The crosshair, that is the point where the players can aim, needs to be on. The scoring time, we are going to keep it off. And the value tips off. Of course, when you are testing, try to keep this on so you are going to know in which team you are. But for the actual gameplay, keep it completely off. For version settings, you are going to use default camera and you are going to lock the camera. Why you are going to lock the camera? Because if you didn't, players will be able to use the third version camera to do some cheat here. Now, for the initial attribute, just keep whatever is, and the other things we don't need to actually manage, okay? So with these guys, you already know the rules. In this moment, you know the basic rules about the map, okay? Let me show you another trick, okay? If you notice, there are some specific parts of the map that are well illuminated and others that don't, okay? And you are going to see these invisible areas around. And what is happening with that, okay? That's something that is being called illumination system, okay guys? So how it's the illumination system? When you are building a map, another map, it's going to be very frustrating for the players if they cannot see anything. And actually, if they cannot see the important things about the map. So, as an example, if the generator is too dark, let me do one example very quickly here. So just imagine that I'm here, okay? So if you see around here, I don't see anything because there is no light around, okay? So if the players cannot see where they are going, it's going to be very frustrating. What you have to do is to keep it darker, but lighten up the areas where actually you have walls or where you have doors and all the interactive parts. As an example, let me show you this. If you see, this part is something that I failed to and I need to fix because players won't be able to see this generator because it's too dark, okay? How you can fix this? What you have to do is to create three different blocks. This is a technique that you can use in all of the games, and it's the illumination system that is going to be artificial and invisible for all the players. So I create a block that has a small light, and I name it as a small light, a block that is a light that is medium, and a block that has a big light. So let me put those in my inventory. Just a second here. And what I do is that I use those blocks to illuminate a little bit the areas or the important areas where the players need to interact with, okay? So as you see, with the small light, the difference is not too much, but the players will notice that there is a generator there, okay? Let me show you another difference. As an example, you see this element is a little bit hidden, but if I place one of those blocks here, it's going to be a little bit more interesting, okay? And also I have different kind of lights here. Let me show you. We got the normal light that is going to be a small one. You see? It's going to be a small one. Then we have the medium light that is going to be more notorious. And finally, we got the big light, okay? So as you see, the area that those elements get highlighted, it's made to make the map a little bit interesting. Okay, so as an example, I'm going to make more interesting this area, okay? It's the illumination system. This works for decoration and also for the map. I'm going to result this part, that is where the area is a little bit hidden. And right now, another part that I'm going to highlight is this one. So check now, just by a few changes, we make this looks a little bit more interesting, okay? And also I use this to highlight important areas. As an example, the ships and the area where you can exit and exit. If you see, it has a lot of those blocks, okay? So, how do you create those specific blocks, okay? It's very easy, guys. You just need to go here to add a new block. you are going to go to new and you are going to create a new block, okay? When you create it, it doesn't matter which block you use as a base. What matters is that you change the model here. Okay, welcome Gabriel, I see that you are coming here. That you are going to change that model for the model that is called R-wall, okay? With that, this model is not going to be seen when you are in playable mode. The players are not going to notice that. Now, what you need to change for this? First, you are going to change the blast resistance to -1 and the hardness to -1. This is going to make your map indestructible, so you players are not going to, for any way, destroy the map. And also it's going to avoid this to work with the skills. As an example, if you make a skill that replaces the blocks, these blocks are not going to be affected. Now, you are going to change the light intensity. So the light block has an intensity of 4, the medium block has an intensity of 10, and the big block has an intensity of 15. So when you create 3 blocks, be sure. In my case, I'm going to put low light or small light. So as this is going to be the small light, we are going to put it in 4th, okay? And one of the most important things here is that you keep drop, and on collision, you are going to select air. And broken by projectile needs to be off. That's going to be how you can create that map. As you see here, it's the same setup that I got here for the small light. For the medium light, that is this one, we have the same but with 10 and the other with 10, okay? Once you create that, you will be able to actually create that illumination system. So what is the next work that you need to do after that, okay? The next work that you have to do is just by highlight all the doors and all the things like this. So as an example, I keep this part with no lights to show you how it works. But this is a way that the players can use to exit and get down to the first floor. You can place some lights on it, okay? So now you are going to notice that in game, this element, it's a little bit, okay. Of course, I need to just deactivate that system out just 1 second on here, and now I will be able to show you guys, okay? Oh, of course. We cannot see that, but now we can see the illumination that we place here. As you see, this area is now resulting, it's not hiding. Of course, you can see here that I also place some blocks in areas like this, so the players will notice that there is a stereo there. And more important, all the exits are going to have a little bit more illumination, so the players will have clear that there is an exit here. And also, another part that is well illuminated are going to be the pipelines where the players can see, okay? So the monster will notice that there is a pipeline on there, okay? If you see, every important element in the game is highlighted by the light system, but also you are going to notice that this part is dark, but the players will notice the edge because I place a small light in the bottom or in the back of this, so that element is not completely dark, and in the top, so the players will see the corner of the scenario, okay? So that's very important. The scenario needs to be dark, but not completely dark. So also you notice that here, in the beginning of the stairs, I put a small light so I can light up that part, and the players will notice that there is a stair on there. And all the different elements in the scenario are going to have this illumination system. As an example, you notice here also that this part is completely dark, but this part that is important is completely highlighted. And also the small trick here. As you see here, we have a small light in the back of the boxes and a small light in the top, okay? So as an example, this part is very dark. If you place here a small light, the players will notice better the corners. Yeah, you see? So now it's dark, but it's not completely dark. That's very important, guys, okay? So that's the first part. And the second part is that you are going to create a status that you are going to provide to the players, okay? What I did is actually I modified this. Instead of creating a book from zero, what you are going to do is, and this is very important, guys, do it like I'm doing it. You are going to hit create a new one, but you are not going to create a new buff, a new status. Instead of that, you are going to hit edit, and you are going to edit this one that makes the player bigger, okay? You are going to know this because it's in neutral and it's this icon. Once you add that one, you are going to edit the next things. You are going to remove the special effect and the sound effect. You are going to change the name for player. And this is very important, guys. You are going to change the vision brightness. So you are going to add an effect and change vision brightness, and you are going to put a negative value, -35. And in the attribute, you are going to keep it up as a positive, and you are going to hit this. Don't remove after that, okay? And let me show you why I'm using that, okay? Let me put this effect here instead of this one. Is the human. Remember that you will find it here. Okay, no. I forgot to put it in another way, so I'm going to just put it here. I have a small secret area here where I put some items, so when I test the game, I will be able to access that area. Okay. Now I will be able to put this in my inventory, and as you see, the areas are having a normal color and a neutral color, okay? Check this trick, guys. Now with the buff that we are going to add it later to the players when they start the room, but with triggers. Okay, no, this doesn't change because I didn't restart the game. Now, when I restart the game, it's going to work fine. What it's going to do is to make the map look a little bit creeper and a little bit darker, but we're not covering all the map with darkness, okay? It's a small trick that you can use whenever you want to create a map. Okay, so check this. Now the map looks like this. As I show you, I place all the important parts are very highlighted, and the rest of the maps looks a little bit darker, okay? But check this, the light is a little bit white, okay? And that doesn't look as much as a creeper if I use this. As you see, that's the buff that we just created, and now the maps are going to look with this kind of sepia color that looks the map a little bit creeper, okay? As you see, the areas keep well illuminated, even if the color has been changed. And most important one, as you see, there are going to be darker areas like this one, but as you see, it's not important areas, just the walls, okay? Now, I'm going to show you why I do this illumination system. Okay, so I'm going to open again this, and I'm going to put this, and I'm also going to put the flashlight on, okay? So once more, we give the look, the overall look to your map that is going to map the map look a little bit more darker. But as we are going to have the flashlight is going to look also cooler with this system. As you see, it looks like it's a flashlight. Okay? So as you see, we can now have a cool flashlight system just with 5 seconds with the effects that we create, okay? And check this. Now, as you notice, there are darker areas, but even if it's too dark, the important areas that shows the player where he can move are a little bit illuminated, so they are not completely dark, and the players can use the flashlight to look a little bit better. So how does it look for you? Did you like the trick? Now that will be the end of the class. I know I take 14 minutes more than I have supposed to take, but I want to teach you all these features, okay? Don't worry, we are going to learn how to do the flashlight and the other things in the next class, but I just wanted to show you the different systems that we got for this. Let me show you in another part. Okay, this part is a little bit darker, as you see, but you still see the borders clear, so you are not going to fall. And this is using the same illumination system. Once more, you can use the lights to turn on the lights, okay? And that will be it, guys. For now, let me switch the screen so I will be able to talk with you. See you guys. Thank you so much for assisting the class. Remember, this is Halloween. Enjoy your Halloween, guys, and see you for the next class.